Clearly one of the most spectacular moments in Contender Series history.
Thank you.
What's your feeling like right now?
I feel great. I mean, I'm on cloud nine. I mean, when I looked at Dana and I gave him, the signature sign, and he looked back at me and he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, I don't even have to really think about whether I'm getting in or not. He just basically told me, "Yeah, you're in." So, that's kind of like where the emotion came out of. Like, I was trying not to cry. I was telling them in the back, I was like, my girlfriend was like, "You're gonna cry when you win. I already know." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And of course, I did. So.
What about when he said you were mean looking? It looked like you took offense to that.
I'm not a mean person. Like only in the cage. People tend to say like, "You look mean. Like you're a different person." I'm like, I mean, maybe. I guess maybe in the cage I have to, but that's about as mean as it gets for me.
Talk about the fight. I mean, obviously you were in there against a really skilled guy, and both of you were having some success. I mean, how did you feel the fight was playing out versus your plan?
Man, Steven's tough. I mean, to be honest, it's hard to tell how the fight's going while you're in there, but I guess it could have gone either way. I thought I was landing maybe the harder shots, but he was obviously, controlling the knockdown. He was walking forward a little more, which, my entire game plan was to not let him walk forward, which is kind of hard to do with a guy that's his game. That's what he does, but that kind of maybe was his downfall at the end. I knew his last 30 seconds, it was kind of a close fight. Let me throw a flying knee, because he's coming forward so hard. And I knew, every time, there's a few times that you saw we clashed, we would be underneath each other, so I was like, all right, flying knee, boom, it hit. I was surprised, actually, when I hit it, because I hit him in either the first or the second round with a flying knee, and he caught my leg. So when I hit him this time, I didn't think he went out, but then I saw him fly back. I was like, oh shit, I was like, let me jump on top, and so it worked out.
Did you and your team, did you have a score going in the third round and what you thought it was?
No, we didn't. We don't really talk about, whether it's like, hey, I'm just trying to win every single round. I'm not thinking whether oh shit, I'm trying to finish the fight every round. So there is no need to tell me, hey, we're down 2. I'm always trying to go for the kill. So, I really don't need to know that stuff. I know what I need to do in there. And it's just a matter of time when I get the finish, or if I can't get the finish, I need to get the win.
Yeah, I'm guessing this thing's gonna go viral. I'm sure it'll be on SportsCenter.
I heard it's on Instagram.
Already.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, give me an idea. Moving forward, do you feel like with something like that, you feel like you should jump in the deep end of the division, or do you feel like you're humble? You got to slow roll your way to the UFC. I mean, you're in the UFC now. People are gonna probably know your name and have seen this. What do you feel like should come next for you?
Well, I heard there's a card in Florida in October, so me and my agent were talking, maybe we're trying to jump on that card. As far as opponents go, I don't really know yet. He has to let me know. I was asking my agent, I was like, who's next? And he was like, let's get past this fight first. So I have to listen to him. He's, the guy running my stuff, so, we'll see what happens.
His jab was phenomenal. You talked about his forward movement. He's got one of the best jabs I've seen in MMA in a long time. For a guy at that level, what else did he do exceptionally well that you saw him there?
Man, every time I threw something, whether it was a kick or a punch, he was always countering. He was very good at countering. It wasn't like I could ever throw a combo or a kick or something and just let it just be a free combo. There was nothing free in there. So, I had to start countering his counters. So then I started, jab, pull, jab. I had to counter his counter. What else did he do? I mean, obviously he walks you down. He's good at walking you down. He had me in some good spots. He hit me a few times, as you saw. But I ate him. I got back up, and I kept playing my game plan. I started working the body a lot more in the third round.
He blocked really well too. He blocked a lot of the kicks, a lot of the big shots he threw. But I felt like even though he's blocking those 4-ounce gloves, you can't really block him entirely. I felt a lot of it was impacting pretty well. Did you? Yeah,
no. That's why I didn't mind. Anytime I threw a kick hard and he just looked at me like like it didn't do anything. I don't really play into that, because even if you hit me with something, I would never let you know if it hurt. So I just continue throwing it. Even if it's not really hurting you, it's tearing up your forearms. So that's why I don't mind throwing kicks. I'll throw kicks and you can block them all day, but you're wearing your arms down slowly. So, I didn't mind throwing. I'll throw kicks all day. It doesn't bother me.
Aalon, at 6 foot, the division you're fighting at, you're young. It doesn't appear to be a problem, but is featherweight your home in the long future, or is it a tough cut, or do you see yourself going eventually?
I wouldn't say it's really a tough cut. I've never missed weight, out of any of my fights. I've fought at 45 since an amateur, all the way up to a pro. But, obviously as time goes on, I'm 29, so I'm sure my body, I'm naturally getting bigger, and I might have to go up to 55 eventually. But if I did make that change, I'd probably put on a little more muscle, get a little bigger. But for now, I make 45 pretty easily.
this is a unique experience. You fought, in front of the featherweight champion. Max Holloway was here today. It was quiet in there, so you could hear your coaches. You probably could hear the other person's coaches. What do you take from this experience in fighting here in the Apex, but fighting on this kind of a level before you go to the UFC?
Man, it was just different. Like, when I came out and I was taking my shirt off and I was taking everything about to get in the ring, I was actually thinking to myself, I was like, it's really quiet. It actually is quiet. Like, everybody says it, but you don't really notice it until you get here. And it was huge. I think it's different fighting in here because it's like fighting in a gym. And it can be hard to really hype yourself up to fight and get ready in fight mode when there's not a bunch of people screaming, because you're used to that. You're used to the screaming, and then you pick out your coach out of there. But, it was a great experience. I could hear his coaches the whole time. I could hear my coaches the whole time. He's telling Steven when to dig and push, and I'm like, no, motherfucker, like, I'm digging, I'm pushing, like, let's keep going. So it kind of hyped me up too when I heard his coaches. I know it's not gonna be like that all the time, but for this experience, it worked out. And this is like a one-of-a-kind experience. So,
Aalon, can you talk about basically, if there wasn't something that you were able to show today, like what part of your fight game did you show?
My ground game. I went for a couple of takedowns. I didn't really fully commit to a lot of them. I don't know if you noticed. I went for like a little ankle pick single leg a few times. I was just hoping he'd fall. I didn't really want to go all deep in it, but I have a really good ground game. I have good wrestling, but this kind of seemed like when I was in there, I was kind of having fun, having a stand-up battle with him. Steven was a warrior, and it just seemed like the type of fight that we just needed to have standing. Like, it just needed to be a battle of warriors, and I had a blast, and he was a great dance partner.